So, we're going to talk about applications in part 11. Hopefully you have a solid understanding of Wi-Fi design now, and we can look at some of the cool applications that run on a Wi-Fi network and the benefits that they have to your business. So what you need to think about is that sometimes a Wi-Fi is just a component of a larger application. And what I mean by that is, you want to mount a TV to a wall. Well, first you need the wall. So a customer or a client comes up with an idea to change the way they do business, and so they need inventory management or something, and the software developer says, well, our system only runs over Wi-Fi, so then we need Wi-Fi and we need this kind of spec, and it's gotta run this way and that way. And so the client realizes they have to buy a Wi-Fi that works with the application. So the Wi-Fi is just a piece of that puzzle. And the application itself might be off the shelf. And so, they're buying it and then they're implementing it. Or it might be something that the client's software department is designing for themselves. Some larger companies have their own in-house application developers. You might be the one building it. You have to be careful about scope creep. You have to be careful. Some of these software developers are totally nuts. Off-the-shelf program that say it's gonna take 3 months to install and customize, because it's off the shelf in quotes. It's not actually off the shelf. Like if you buy SAP, for example, SAP or Microsoft Dynamics, they run enterprises, but they don't necessarily, you can't just buy it and install it the same way you buy and install Microsoft Office. There's a lot of customization. There's a lot of code that has to be written so that the program runs for your organization exactly the way you want it to. So on the one hand, they're more complicated, but on the other hand, they have a flexibility to add the features that you need. And of course, Microsoft themselves don't customize their program for you. You have to go to a developer, and the developer customizes the program. And depending on how crazy they are, they might take a few years. And part of it is them, and part of it is the client keeps asking for more features, and the program never gets finished. But I digress. What's important is, if you're a Wi-Fi provider, you're probably not going to be selling them SAP and Microsoft Dynamics. You might, however, be developing an application to authenticate users to the Wi-Fi network, because that's your responsibility. So if you have, let's say, guests, and typically this application is going to be found at a hotel, restaurant, shopping mall, airport. And what is it really? Just a splash page pops up when you connect to the Wi-Fi. Says, hey, welcome to our Wi-Fi. Here's the terms and conditions. You have to agree, and then you can connect to the internet. And of course, we authenticate the users based on their MAC address. So that's how we monitor users. The application server handles this application, and it keeps track of users. Of course, there are more complicated methods of authenticating users. So your authentication application has to figure out the username and the password. Make sure they're correct. How do you do that? Well, you have to connect your application to an API, and it pulls data from some other server. So let's say you went to a hotel, and at the hotel you enter in your hotel room number and your name, and then it says welcome to our Wi-Fi. Well, how does it know that you entered the correct hotel room number and the hotel name? It has to contact the hotel's property management program, and it has to get all that data from the program. And it gets the data like all the names of the guests and their rooms, and which ones are allowed to get on the Wi-Fi and which ones didn't pay for it, and that kind of thing. Or let's say you visit, some corporate office, and you're a guest for the day, and you need access to the Wi-Fi, so the office receptionist or security guard, she can log into a portal and generate a username and password for you, and boom, you're on the Wi-Fi now. So that can be done as well. Those things can expire after an hour or a day or a week or some custom expiry date. Or you might connect to Wi-Fi at a hotel, like I said before, or an airport. Sometimes we can throttle the speed of the internet connection. You get your basic Wi-Fi for free or included with your hotel room. If you want really high-speed Wi-Fi, then you have to pay for it. So we can integrate a credit card payment gateway into the application, and so the controller or the server can enforce the internet speed. It knows who you are anyways. Yeah, and of course data is very important. We can track all kinds of user data on the Wi-Fi, MAC addresses, IP addresses, the access point that you're connected to, and what time, what kind of device you're using, a phone, a tablet, it's an iPhone, depending on other things. We can pretty much log and store all the traffic on the Wi-Fi. URLs, ports, complete packets. So if you're a user, consider using a VPN if you're doing something private. Be careful. In a large network where we have guest Wi-Fi, we can use the data that we collect to predict customer behavior. We know where they walk, when they walk, how long they stand at a certain place, and we know that because we can monitor not just which access point they're connected to, but also the signal strength. So as you walk closer to an access point, the signal strength of your connection increases, and as you walk further away from the access point, signal strength decreases until you've connected to another access point. Other access points can also see your traffic nearby. Pretty much if you wanted to, you could triangulate the location of a device to within a few feet if you were totally crazy. But yeah, we know for a fact that iPhone users tend to have a higher disposable income than users of other devices, so that's a useful metric that might change in the future, but that's something that a shopping mall might be interested in. What somebody's searching for is also pretty interesting in terms of being able to provide products. If somebody's on their phone a lot, they might be bored, might not be interested in the attraction that they're at. So if we're at a museum and you're walking around and and there are areas where there's no Wi-Fi traffic, and there's areas where there's lots of Wi-Fi traffic. Then we can say, hey, this area has a lot of interesting exhibits, and this area doesn't, because people are just on Facebook all the time when they're standing here. So maybe this is something we need to get rid of. Can identify trespassers. If we've banned somebody and we know their MAC address, they come back to our property, and we pick up their MAC address on our Wi-Fi. We can send security their way. So that's another cool application. Obviously, everything I just said is subject to the privacy laws of the United States of America and Canada and whatever state or province you're in. And you need to make sure that before you collect any data from a user, you tell them exactly what you're collecting and how long you're storing it for and what you're using it for. And you should anonymize the data and destroy it after a period of time. And even then, make sure that even if they agree to something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's legal. You need to check with the privacy people, make sure, and even then, be careful, because people don't always read the terms and conditions. So when the news finds out, then you can have a real big public backlash, and you won't like it. And another cool thing you can do is location awareness. So it's basically, like we said earlier, indoor GPS. You know exactly where a device is located based on which AP it's connected to. And so one benefit of that is, like we said, with voice over Wi-Fi. If you're using a voice over Wi-Fi phone and you make a 911 call, then the system can figure out where you are in the building and send the EMS exactly where you are. You might be in a large corporate campus and you call 911. That doesn't necessarily show your location, especially on a voice over IP. So the location awareness with a indoor GPS, you need to download an app in order to use it. So it works like this. We install APs in a building and we program the location of each AP into a server, and then the server, when you log on to an AP, the server knows where you are because it gets connection data from the controller, and then it pushes that data back to your app. So in summary, it's using your Wi-Fi connection and AP connection to tell your phone where you are and what's around you. And why do we care about that? Well, let's say you're at the airport and you're trying to find your gate. App can show you where you are and where you need to walk to get to your gate, so you don't miss your flight. Or, augmented reality. So you're in the mall and you walk by, Lululemon or somewhere, or Williams Sonoma, and boom, an ad pops up on your phone that tells you, exactly where you are in the mall, and hey, there's a coupon out here. And we can take it one step further. You're on your phone and you're on the internet and you see ads. Well, the ads can communicate with you see how creepy that can be. So you go to CNN.com to check out the news, or you go to Facebook.com, see some posts. Facebook.com knows where in the mall you're standing and shows you an ad, for a store that you're standing next to, and then you go into the store. I mean, this isn't something that's being done right now, but it's something that's totally possible. I mean, the underlying technology is there. The typical mall already has Wi-Fi, and it's just a matter of writing an app that can interact with these. In fact, it's totally possible without writing the app. You don't even need to give them your permission, because the internet connection that's coming through your phone is going to the same system that knows the location of your phone in the mall, so it's possible to transfer that data, although it's not legal yet. But that's just a matter of changing the terms and conditions when you connect to the Wi-Fi. So certainly possible. And of course, inventory management is another situation that's important. Why is inventory management so important? Well, warehouses have this issue where they store more product than they need to, because they can't predict sales as well as they should be. So when you buy a whole bunch of excess inventory, you have less cash flow. And less cash flow means that you have a less money to spend on other parts of your business at the time. And also, you now have a larger warehouse. And a larger warehouse costs more to maintain and more utilities, so your profits go down. And also, workers have to walk to the end of the warehouse to get the products that they need before packing them. And the walking and all that stuff takes time, and so workers become less efficient. And the other thing that happens, which is not part of the larger warehouse, is that you might misplace a product. You might put a box on the wrong shelf. It happens. Why? Because shelves are labeled by, with stickers, or they're not labeled at all, or human error. So now, products misplaced. Computer says it's in stock, but you can't find it, and now you got a problem. So how do you fix it? Well, you keep track of your orders and your inventory, and every shelf space has a barcode, and every box has a barcode, and every order has a barcode, every shipping label has a barcode, every forklift has a barcode. So you want to pick something from the shelf, you go to the shelf, you scan the item with your barcode reader, and now you know you got the right item. Automatically you can print a shipping label, stick the label on the item, goes out in the mail. So our inventory system, it's just in time. So what that means is it monitors, inventory in real time. It reorders product when you need it, so you don't have a whole bunch of extra product sitting on the shelf for nothing. And obviously you reduce errors because you're scanning every item when you pull it off the shelf, and it makes a lot of things automated. So orders come in automatically, you can print the labels automatically, so that's a lot less work for people to do. And RFID tags, you can put them on items and boxes, so now you won't lose the boxes anymore, because the RFID tag tells you where every item is located. And of course, you need Wi-Fi for this to work, because you have scan guns and you have label printers and you have RFID tags, and they all need Wi-Fi in the warehouse. So it also lets you monitor how efficient the operation is, and it does that by tracking the location. You can use it to figure out how many items a worker picks off the shelf in an hour. You can see if they're slow or if they're fast. You can also track people, forklifts, pallet jacks, anything that you can stick a tag on, you can track, and so that's pretty handy. And then, of course, we have voice over WLAN, which I mentioned a few times. So we're not going to go into too much detail over voice over WLAN, but the amount of information on it is humongous, because voice over IP, it's pretty much, you can be certified up to CCIE, and same with Wi-Fi, and same with routers and switches. So, and of course, you've got, Avaya, and you've got other manufacturers, Polycom and Brocade, and Fortinet makes voice over IP phones too now. So that's a lot of different products and designs, and we would never run out of stuff to talk about. So we're just gonna say that voice over Wi-Fi is a technology that's very useful, because you can take a phone and walk around a huge campus and you can still be on your phone. Of course, apps work too now. You can use your cell phone and install an app from Avaya and just talk through that. And again, your phone is on the Wi-Fi, but maybe that's a better option